Air is drawn straight into the nostrils, but exhaled out the side of the nose, so it doesn't interfere with the scent trail.
Hello guys, I'm back again. I'm going to be making a new nation overview, this time the nation of Asphodel. Now you can really see my thought process when it comes to choosing these nations to cover in a video. Basically, I was just playing another game, Plants vs. Zombies, and it made me think about what nation I wanted to do next, and this is the Plant Zombie nation, so why not do this one? Asphodel is not too different from its Dominions 5 version, however there are some significant changes. Mainly coming down to the way Dominion 6 works in terms of the scales, as well as a few changes to the nation itself. So, for example, now they have glamour magic, which is pretty welcome. It gives them a little bit more diversity. In Dominions 5, they really lacked the magic diversity. You basically had a lot of nature and some death. Now you have a lot of nature, some death, and then glamour, earth, and water as well, which is nice. It gives you a little bit of options, and it lets you do some things that maybe you couldn't do that well in Dominions 5. As well, with the new scale limits, you get a big boost to your growth scales, which is pretty nice since it suits the nation pretty well. It affects your pop production mechanics in terms of your free spawn. You can get a lot of free spawn with growth 4, for example, and you're one of the few nations that can easily go growth 4. It also lets you get some magic, which is nice too, so you could have good research later in the game, especially since you have fairly easy access to summoned commanders. So if you can summon a lot of commanders and use your limited gold to recruit more, you get some decent researchers. Now, some of your commanders are pretty good researchers as well, so with Magic 3, this will be not too bad. As for the lineup itself, it hasn't changed much from Dominions 5, if you're familiar with that game. You still have the basic kind of Pangea units, the Black Harpy Scout, who's unchanged from Pangea, just a scout, flying scout, which is, it's good. Good for the same reasons it's good in Pangea. Again, it's just a flying stealthy unit. Yeah, the Satyr Commander, again, not much of a change. He's still stealthy for survival commander, but a little bit less useful here, considering you'll get tons of free spawn commanders very, very easily. I don't know if he's as useful here as he would be in Pangea. The Minotaur Lord, again, limited usefulness. He's kind of useful in Pangea if you want to go for a very heavy brute force kind of build. But here, because you're going to be focusing mostly on mages and free spawn and very little on your actual troop lineups, I wouldn't worry about him too much. You have your two Centaur commanders, the Hierophant and the Hierophide, and they're more or less the same as the Pangea version, except death and nature rather than earth nature, and the female is also death nature rather than water nature. So not bad. I mean, a nature 1, a death 1 is not too useful. At least a death 1 can do some things like reanimate. The main thing is that they're decent little thugs. You can give them a bit of gear. They can lead some small armies. But in all honesty, I'd rather just use the summonable commanders, the summonable centaur commanders, even though they don't have any magic paths. They do have the holy path and the sacred status, which is pretty good for summoning free spawn, as well as just self-buffing with some holy spells and things like that. So, not too bad. I mean, these guys are not too bad. They're very cheap anyways, so you can consider them if you want to. But I tend to not get too many of these guys. The mage I tend to focus on, in terms of recruitable mages, is the Dryads, the Dryad Hag, and the Black Dryad. These are a little bit more expensive, but they have a bit more magic diversity. They're also Holy 2, which means you'll get more free spawn, and they get more access to your national holy spell, which is pretty nice as well. Plus, these guys are stealthy. They lack the Seducer Assassination trait that the Dryads in Pangea get, but still they're quite good, and this Glamour cross path is really nice. The Death, Glamour, and Nature cross paths are pretty good for giving you some access to different spells. The Dryad Hag is more or less the same, just a little bit more nature and the same cross paths, plus a random chance for any of these, Water, Earth, Death, and Glamour. So again, this just gives you more access to different cross paths, which is quite nice. Definitely throwing the Glamour in there is good for getting a little bit more diversity in terms of some of the Fae summons, like summoning fairy queens or other things. This will help you out with that later. Beyond that, the main thing you'd be focusing on is your Panic Apostate, and this guy is really great to get as many of as you can. You can recruit this anywhere. I mean, he's slow to recruit, but still, if you can afford him, he's very expensive, but if you can afford him, you should try to pick up as many of these as possible. They do have really good paths, Death 2, Nature 3, with the possibility for Nature 4, Death 3, and then Earth and Water. Getting the Earth and Water randoms is nice for crafting, so you do want to get a few of these guys if you can afford them. I try to recruit one of these guys immediately, and he'll be my main site searcher and casting some spells in the early game. And then later I try to recruit these guys as much as I can while getting some dryads in the meantime as well. So we'll talk more about these guys a little bit later. As for the troop lineup, I tend to not use many of the troops. When it comes to troops, you really have two main options in my opinion. You can either focus on sacreds. Now, actually, Asphodel in Dominion 6 has a new sacred. They have the Black Minotaur, which is a sacred, and there's also a free spawn version of this, which is sacred as well. So this is kind of interesting. I don't know how you would use it. I tend to still prefer the Black Centaur as the sacred of choice, and I tend to focus more on this one. And you can also focus on the normal Centaur Warriors. These guys are really good as well. If you're going for a low Dominion build, you might be better to focus on the Centaur Warriors. If you're going for a little bit higher Dominion, you can maybe afford to get a few Black Centaurs. These guys are much better, and they're sacred, so they can benefit from a bless. But basically all of these units, unless you're going for a really low Dominion build, you're going to not be able to recruit these for very long anyways. Because for one, these guys are only in the capital, so you can get them for a little while, and then eventually you have to give up on them. You won't be getting many of them once your capital is basically dead. The Centaur Warriors, you can kind of shift to a little bit later in the game to supplement your armies. Definitely, if you can still afford them, if you still have some gold income, you should be recruiting some of these guys, the Centaur Ide or the Centaur Warriors, throughout the game. They're both pretty good. And again, as long as you have income, you can still keep recruiting them as much as you want. And they're a nice supplement to your basically undead, mannequin-focused free spawn forces. You have the Minotaur Warriors. I don't know much about these guys. I guess they could be useful in some ways just to supplement your armies. But you're going to get so many beefy free spawn anyways. I don't know if I'd really use these too much. The main thing I like to do is focus on the Black Centaurs for the very early expansion, and then shift towards more mage-heavy thugging focus, as well as recruiting some Centaur Warriors, Centaur Ide Warriors, and then making use more of the free spawn once I can buff them up a little bit. As I said, the Black Minotaur is a new sacred for Asphodel, so that's kind of interesting. You have two sacred units. This is, again, more of a beefy, heavy sacred unit. He kind of reminds me of Ermor's Lictor in some way. Ermor has a very heavy-hitting Lictor unit, so maybe you could use this guy in a very similar way to that. Again, you do get these guys as a free spawn unit, so you can consider that in that way, buffing them with your bless in some way, similar to the way you would bless Ermor's Lictors, as again, making them very beefy. One thing I did consider is taking a Reforming Flesh bless for these guys and for your other free spawn sacreds, as well as your sacred free spawn commanders. Or I shouldn't say free spawn commanders, but your summonable undead commanders. They'll benefit from the regeneration that Reforming Flesh gives. But either way, let's move on here. So I had a few ideas for gods. Let's actually exit here for a second. Here's a few gods I thought of. Now, the one I was using in the game I'm playing now was this one, except I swapped out Enchanted Blood for something else. Let me actually just go back to... Let's go back to here, God Creation. So one god I thought would be good would be the Black Bull. Now, the reason I chose this one is nature and blood are pretty decent paths for you to have. You do have some blood access in the later game because you can summon Lamias very, very easily. Lamia Queens, I should say. So with some blood access on your Pretender, you can get started a little bit with the blood hunting. And once you can summon Lamia Queens, you can get some kind of a blood economy going a little bit later, which is pretty nice to supplement yourself as Asphodel in the later game. But that also implies that you're not just pop killing every single province. You need to have some provinces with population to actually blood hunt. So blood is something you can consider, but if you're really killing off all your provinces, it may not be that useful. You need to save a few provinces to actually blood hunt in to make that even viable. But I consider this. It also gives you a few more points since you can go all the way down to Turmoil 3. So that gives you a little bit extra scales to dump. I'd probably try to go Growth 4 and Magic 3 as well. Maybe even Luck 2 if I can afford it. And everything else I'm just going to dump. As for Dominion, I went a pretty low Dominion. As Asphodel, you're probably better off going a fairly low Dominion. Now, I prefer to stay at least 5 or less. You could go higher, but you don't really get any benefit from going super high Dominion. Your benefits kind of cap out at 5, and they are diminishing returns from then on. So you might as well just go 5 or even lower and rely on your really easy access priests. You get a lot of priests, and it's really easy to summon them. You should be summoning a lot of them. So you might as well even go a little bit lower than 5 and just preach up your Dominion wherever you want to use it. For example, in forests, where you get a lot of your best free spawn, you can send some preachers there to raise your Dominion, while in other places you can leave it lower or even 0 if you want some more income from there, or if you want to blood hunt, for example. Now, what I did here is I took a 5 with him because I want him to be able to cast Mother Oak as soon as possible. One of my first research priorities is getting to Mother Oak, which is Alteration level 5 and Nature 5. And I just took 4 blood, and I took a very simple bless like this. I took Blood Surge, I took Strength of the Flesh, and then Blood Vitae or Resilient. These are both the same anyway, so something like this is pretty fine. This is a pretty neutral kind of bless. Blood Surge just for your Cavalry, your Black Centaurs. I only really considered them. So this will be nice for them. It'll also be decent for your other mages later, but it doesn't really take advantage of some of the strengths that Asphodel has. I just took this as a very basic bless, and I've been playing the kind of demo game with this. Other options you can consider, another one I considered was this one, Mother of Monsters. And let me recall what I did with her. I took Reforming Flesh, as well as Blood Surge, and I believe Undying as well. I have to check again what I actually took, but I think this is the bless I went with her. And I have to change this up a little bit. I took her Dormant to be able to compensate a little bit more. Yeah, I believe this is something like what I went with. I'll have to check again what exactly I took with her, but it was something similar to this. And maybe I can afford even a little bit more of a bless for something. I don't know what I would take. Something, who knows. But I could do something a little bit more like that if I really, really want to. Go a little bit higher Dominion. Maybe take like Resilient or Mending Bones or Undying or something. So take Undying too. That could be not too bad. So I think I took something very similar to this. I think this might be an even better option. Now you lack the Awake expansion option that the Bull has. The reason I would take the Black Bull is just to help you with expansion. Asphodel doesn't have too much difficulty with expansion since the Black Centaurs are really good. They're basically the exact same as Pangaea's White Centaurs, and if you've ever played Pangaea, you know they're very good. So I wouldn't worry about expansion too much, but definitely having an expander is nice since you really want to be aggressive as a pop kill nation. People are going to try to kill you immediately. That's the main issue because they know how quickly you can ramp up. So having an Awake God is nice to play defense a little bit. So that's one consideration for picking something like the Black Bull or another Awake Monster God versus something else. The main reason I choose this one is if you're maybe a little bit more confident with yourself, or you're okay that you think you don't have to worry about too much in the early game. Take her Dormant, take a little bit of a better bless, some Undying, Blood Surge, and Reforming Flesh, and then basically the same scales anyways. So this will give you more benefits into the late game. Other options could be maybe an Immobile. As for an Immobile, I'm not sure what would be the best option. Something with Astral for sure. Maybe something like the Pillar here, or the Monolith. Maybe the Idol of Sorcery. Maybe this might be good. The reason I'd want something with Astral is because Astral magic is pretty useful for you to break into, and it can give you access to magic resistance, which is quite nice. So this is good for preventing your commanders from getting soul slayed. Always a big problem in the late game with these kind of free spawn nations is soul slay. Because most of your units are mindless, and you only have a few units with mines, or basically your sacred summons, having magic resistance just helps beef up your commanders a little bit so they don't get hit by soul slay or something. So magic resistance might be good. Maybe you can even take Reforming Flesh again. And then maybe something with Glamour, I don't know. You could do something really meme tier like Heroism. Just max Heroism or whatever. That could be pretty funny. This is kind of the big meme at the moment because it really stacks up a lot. Otherwise, you can go with something else. I don't know what else could be good. Maybe like Obfuscate. I still like Blur and Obfuscate, to be honest. I think these are quite good as well. Those could all be pretty nice. There's many different options you can go with. But I think definitely Reforming Flesh and Magic Resistance are important. And then you can do whatever else you want with the remaining points. Maybe get some Nature as well in there and not even worry too much about Glamour. So something like this could be pretty good. You might have to change your scales a little bit more. I'm not sure. This guy doesn't offer any scales benefits. He does give you +1 for your magic, but that's about it. So you would have to adjust the scales a little bit here to make this work. Maybe you could dump this a bit. Still have 2 bless points left, so let's see what else we can get. Maybe just throw some Undying in there or something. That's not bad. So something like this could be okay. That's not too difficult. Or I can get even double magic resistance. Maybe I should do that instead. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get double magic resistance. So 2 times magic resistance, Undying, Reforming Flesh. That could be an okay bless as well. Again, just to beef up your Sacred Commander so they don't get hit by Soul Slay. Undying just for a little bit more tanky units, and then Reforming Flesh for benefiting those tanky kind of undead units as well. So this could be pretty good as well. This could be an option. Again, this is just a stationary unit, but I think having the Astral access is pretty nice. You could probably boost up Astral a little bit more to prevent Mine Hunt and things like that. That could be worthwhile, but it's up to you. I still think I prefer the Mother of Monsters or the Awake Expander because there's lots of times when I find if you're playing a nation like Asphodel, people tend to just want to kill you immediately. So having a big, scary monster like this to defend you is pretty nice. So we're going to talk a little bit about some priorities, research priorities quickly before I show what's happening in the game. So when it comes to playing Asphodel, I've highlighted a few things here I think are important. Probably the most important first research goal is right here, Alteration 5, Mother Oak. Now once you get to Alteration 5, you can cast the spell. It should be really, really easy for you to cast. It's only Nature 5. You can either buff up one of your Nature 4 guys, which is a little bit expensive. I'd probably take Nature 5 on the God if possible, and then cast this immediately. This is really useful for you because it just gives you more Nature Gems, and basically as Asphodel, you need Nature Gems for almost everything. All your national spells cost gems, Nature Gems, and all the useful spells you want to be using cost Nature Gems as well as Death Gems. So this is definitely a big priority, getting Mother Oak as soon as possible. After that, I'd probably go for Enchantment, mainly Enchantment 4 to get Twice Born, maybe Enchantment 5 to get Horde of Skeletons, which is a useful spell for you. But Twice Born is really good. You should cast this on basically all of your non-undead commanders, so that way when they die, they become undead, and they will turn into their undead version, which is usually very good. So getting Twice Born is really useful. You want to be casting this on every single not undead commander you have. So that's also a big reason why you want to get Death Gems as soon as possible. So Twice Born is another thing. After that, it's really up to you. Maybe you can go down Thaumaturgy, or maybe Conjuration could be pretty useful. Once you get to Conjuration 6, you can get a few useful spells like Contact Lamia Queen, which gets the Lamia Queen as a Death 2, Nature 1, which is kind of what you have already. But she also has Blood Magic and Water Magic. Blood Magic is the useful thing you want here. Getting Death 3 is pretty nice as well. She can get easily Death 4, which is really good for climbing Death a little bit higher, since you don't have that many big Death mages. So this is a pretty nice option as well. But main thing for her is the Blood Magic. This will help you break into blood if you really want to. And it comes at Conjuration 6, which is not too difficult for you to get. So I'd consider that as an option. As well at Conjuration 6, you get Summon Spectre, you get the Spectre Mage. He is a Death 1, but he has pretty easy chance to get Death 2 or Death 3, and it gives you some nice cross paths as well with Astral, Water, and Glamour. The main thing here is getting Astral. If you didn't take Astral on your God, this is probably the best path for you to break into Astral Magic and get some little communion set up, get some Astral Summons, and so on. So this is a great option for you as well if you can get up to Conjuration 6, get the Lamia Queens and the Spectral Mages. From then on, you have a few other spells that are pretty useful all the way down Conjuration, from Conjuration 6 onward. Conjuration 7, you have Wild Hunt, which is basically just annoying all the enemy mages. It's a little bit expensive in Dominion 6. For one, it requires Glamour 5, which is pretty difficult for you to get by boosting just your normal units, since most of them will have maybe Glamour 2 at most. So boosting up to Glamour 5 is going to be a little bit difficult. but it's still an option there eventually if you can somehow get there. Probably the main way to get there would be maybe a little bit later in the game when you can get the Fairy Queen. After that, Conjuration 8, you have Well of Misery, which is a way for you to boost up your death gem income. This will give you 21 death gems a month, so this is kind of the death version of Mother Oak. So this is something to consider in the late game if there's no other destinations, or you can get to Conjuration 8 earlier than anyone else. I would consider this. Next thing is Fairy Court, also at Conjuration 8. This is another kind of diversity spell. Glamour 4, Nature 1. So Glamour 4 is a little bit difficult to boost up to, but not as hard as Glamour 5. And this will give you the Fairy Queen or the Queen of Winter. So both of these give some nice diversity. The Fairy Queen is Glamour 3, Nature 3, which is nice if you want to break into higher Glamour. And also she gives some other path variety. So air and earth specifically are interesting for you, and also some water. So she's great for some diversity. The Queen of Winter breaks you into water and glamour, and has similar paths as well for 2 death or 2 air. So this is also another good diversity summon. So this is a great option for you if you can boost some of your mages up to Glamour 4. You can summon Fairy Queen or Queen of Winter to get get yourself up in some other paths. Last one, Conjuration 9. This is very late in the game, but if you really want to climb up Conjuration to the last level, this could be a kind of funny option. But I mean, by this point in the game, I don't know. This is like super, super late game, but it's something to consider. Basically, this turns every single forest in the entire game into your temple, which is great for you because they will start pumping up free spawn like crazy. Even in enemy territory, they'll start pumping up free spawn, and they'll spread your dominion in every single forest. So this is a really, really late game option, but, I don't know. By then, you're either going to be dominating or, struggling. Who knows what will happen by then. But, if you can get there, this is an option in super, super late game. Some other things, there's a few other late game spells. For example, Curse of Blood. If you want to break into Blood, by the time you get to Blood 8, you can get Vampire Lords, which helps you break even more into Blood and get Immortals and stuff like that. Another immortal option you can get pretty easily is the Worm Mage. This is really easy for you to get. You have to go up Thaumaturgy, but once you get to Thaumaturgy 8, you can get this immortal Worm Mage. And this guy's good as an immortal. He's not as good as the Vampire, but he's immortal, so you can just turn him into just an immortal kind of thug if you want. Another immortal option for you is Enchantment 9, is the Lich. You can do Lichcraft. He's a bit better than the Worm Mage, but you get him a little bit later. But enchantment is something you're going to be wanting to climb up anyway, so you should be at least enchantment 5. So getting up to enchantment 9 will be a little bit easier than Thaumaturgy, because you're probably going to be climbing enchantment first. Other than that, there's a few construction options. I highlighted these 3 items as things you might want to make, 3 or 4 items I should say. So at level 3, construction, you'll be able to make the Chthonic Lion Pelt. And this is a good option for your commander units. Specifically these guys, the Carrion Lords, these are a good option for later in the game when you want to start thugging a bit. Basically, this is the undead version of your national apostate Pan, or you can summon this guy with your unique spell, which is Summon Carrion Lord, right here at enchantment 0, so you can do this anytime you want. This will summon this guy, so this is always an option for you. And this guy's a pretty decent thug. He's sacred. He has the same paths as your recruitable version. He's Holy 3, and he has a random chance as well. If you summon him, he'll have one of these randoms. So he's basically the same as the national recruitable version, except you can summon him instead of recruit him. And he's a pretty good thug as well. You can give him this Lion Pelt at level 3. At level 5, you can make the Vine Shield and the Sphere Axe. Alternatively, you can give him the Frostbrand, which is pretty good as well. And basically, this is all he needs to be a pretty decent thug. This could be an option as well if you want him to be stealthy. You can make this also at level 5 construction. This is pretty easy for you to make. And give him this, it'll turn him into a stealthy, or even more stealthy unit. I think he does have stealth already. So make him even more stealthy if you want to. Another option could be the Assassin Heart. I forget the name of that one. What is that called? Blackheart. This is it. So this is quite late in the game, and you need blood magic to get it, but this is to turn your units into an assassin. So if you want to start getting into assassinations later and you broke into blood magic, this could be an option as well. There's lots of other things, but I think these 3 are a pretty decent setup for a basic thug, and these guys are pretty good thugs in general. They're pretty tanky. They have good paths for thugging. And the Holy 3 plus some gear is nice for them as well. Let's exit out of here. I'll also show off the two Holy free spawn units. You have this one, the Holy Centaur, the Sagittarian Carcass is your Holy free spawn. And you also have the new one, which is the Fury, I think. Here it is, Carrion Fury. This is another one of your free spawn holy units, and this is new for this game. It's very similar to a Lictor, as I said, in a way. It's a very tanky, heavy unit with Berserker, and this one can benefit a lot because it has pretty decent health and hit points. Higher hit points than this one. It can benefit a lot from Reforming Flesh and also Undying. So if you want to take a very beefy Bless, Reforming Flesh, high Undying, and maybe Blood Surge, this could be a great option as well. You could also consider this with Berserker, but I probably wouldn't because it would also affect your commanders as well, which is not great. But I think these two are both good options, and they both enable different types of strategies. The Sagittarian Carcass is an archer, so you can kind of benefit from more of a ranged bless if you really want to. This one is a pretty heavy-hitting, beefy, tanky unit, so this can really benefit from some blesses to boost their health a little bit more. Alright, here's the game I was playing. I just went through the first early game a little bit. You can see my expansion's been okay. Not too much here. I did take here's my god here, and I can take a look at the bless I have. Let's go to my temple. And you can see my bless is the HP +1, which is resilient. I have the strength +1, which is the strength of the flesh, and then blood surge. So just the very basic bless I mentioned before. As I said before, probably taking Reforming Flesh and some kind of Death Bless would be a little bit better, but I wanted to have the early expander just to show off the game. Now, one thing I should say, for expansion, probably your best option is the Black Centaurs. These guys expand pretty well, but as I said, eventually you're just going to run out of money, so it won't be reliable. The main thing you should be doing in the meantime is building up your Mage Corps. Actually, I should be recruiting more of these Panic Apostates, which is what I should be doing basically everywhere. This guy's going to cast Carrion Fortress, which is your national spell to basically grow a fortress in any forest area. So he's going to cast the Grow Fortress spell right here. I had to build a temple here, but temples and, I had to build a lab here, but labs and temples are really cheap for you, just a few hundred gold, which is not too bad. And honestly, because your temples are so cheap, and because temples in a forest give such a huge bonus to your reanimation and your free spawn, it may even be worth to build unforted temples in basically every forest you find. Like I'm building one in here. I'm going to attack Ulm in a minute. Now I'm sending my mass of free spawn out there just kind of for fun. Ideally, if I was playing a multiplayer game, I wouldn't do this. What I would probably try to do is gather up all my free spawn together and summon a Carrion Lord. And after I do that, actually, maybe I can summon a Carrion Lord now. I don't think I can yet. Maybe this guy would have to do it, but he's busy. So maybe in a turn, I'll summon a Carrion Lord and send him out with these guys. But what you should be doing is getting some more Panic Apostates, maybe some Carrion Lords, and sending those guys with all your collected free spawn from the early game and basically throw them at an enemy, especially once you can get some decent buffs. For example, Alteration. You really want to get some good Alteration buffs. For example, Group Bark Skin is good. Where's the other one? Mother Oak. And what else am I looking for? There, Wooden Warriors. If you can get to level 6 Alteration, this will be really nice for you to boost up all your units. So you can cast this on a big group of your units to make them a little bit more tanky. There's other things that'll be useful for you too, like Group Iron Skin if you can get up to Earth, but that's a little bit harder for you to do. Other things as well you might consider to buff your units a bit more. But the main thing is, once you get your Alteration up a little bit, you can buff up your free spawn mannequin units and then just throw a big group of them at whoever's closest to you. So I'm going to just attack Ulm a little bit early, just for fun. Just to kind of show in the video a big group of free spawn attacking a little tiny army. But either way, let's end this turn and we'll see how it goes in the next turn. If I'm recruiting anything here, let's recruit some more. While I can, I'll recruit some more of these guys. Not much else going on elsewhere. Right, let's end the turn here. And he cast... Yeah, he built a fortress here. And I'm going to have this guy cast a spell. I'm going to have him cast Carrion Lord Ooh, it's pretty expensive. I probably should, like I said, I probably shouldn't be doing this right now, but it doesn't really matter too much. I'm just doing this to kind of test out the game a little bit. I'm also going to boost my income here so this guy doesn't attack me. So we've got a big forest building up on the border here. And another one of these guys. I'm going to have a move over here and cast another Grow Fortress in a few turns. Maybe I'll have him site search for the time being. Let's get him to bring some of these guys over. And some more of the free spawn. Now, this is going to be a big battle that's going to be pretty one-sided. I don't know if Ulm has much in the field at the moment, so I'm just going to attack him kind of for fun. My god is kind of doing nothing. Maybe I'll send him over here as well. Even attack them early, to be honest. Either way, not too much. Like I said, I'm just kind of messing around here. Right, here's my Carrying Lord. And you can see he's got the same paths as the regular Panic Apostate, except also with the Holy 3. The Panic Apostate is not holy at all. So this guy's actually a little bit better. It used to be in Dominions 5 that this guy didn't have any randoms. So that was kind of unfortunate. But now he does have randoms and he's got Holy 3. So I can even make him a Holy 4 if I make him Prophet. I don't know if I have a Prophet around here at the moment. Oh, this guy should be attacking. Maybe I will prophetize this guy just for fun. Oh no, I must have a Prophet somewhere. Either way, I'm going to move him over here. With this group. Let's organize these swarms of this mess of units a little bit more. Put these guys together. Now this is such a mess. To be honest, one of the main reasons that Popkill Nations are not exactly as fun as they look sometimes is because it's just like another disaster trying to manage all these units, to be honest. It's such like a micromanagement hell a little bit. So it becomes really draining once you're playing a game for a long time and it becomes just like a mess of shit, basically. Right, let's pick out all the different units. Mix them into different groups here. Yeah, I'll leave these guys with him. Okay, I don't even know what these guys are all doing. Put them somewhere here. The last time I've played, end up playing Popkill Nation online, I think I end up just kind of giving up and just throwing huge amounts of units at the enemy, honestly, because after a while it becomes just so exhausting trying to manage them all. Okay, I don't even know what these guys are. Let's get these guys somewhere. Okay, that's enough. That looks pretty funny. This will be a pretty funny battle. Let's do Blessing, and then, I don't know, get him to cast some stuff. Let's get all these guys to cast something. I don't even know what these guys are doing. There, that's pretty good for him. This guy will have to cast something as well. Let's get this guy to do something, like Skeletal Body for himself, then he can cast whatever. This guy just do nothing. Maybe I'll send this guy in as well. Actually, I want to kind of save this guy. This is one of your best hero units. He's a really excellent thug, but I think I'm going to keep him on the sidelines for now. I'm going to move him out of here. I'd love to give him a lot of gear and turn him into a big, beastly kind of thug. He's really good. But I'll keep him out of here for now. I want to kind of save him. I'll just send this big horde of dudes in. I don't know what this guy can cast. Not much, to be honest. I guess like enlarge. He can do personal bark skin. Let's just do whatever. I don't really care what he does, to be honest. He can just cast something for them. Let's get these guys to do blessings. Alright, that's okay. So let's just send this big mess in. We'll wait for the Carrying Lord to come. He can come over here and kind of load up on units. Let's give him all these guys as well. This will be a big horde. It'll be pretty funny. this guy can go in too. Hey, you know what? Let's just attack. Yeah, let's just attack everybody. Why not? I want to get this going. Let's get the god to attack too, just for fun. Like, why not? And this guy can attack as well. It's going to be a big mess. We'll see it. It's going to be like 100,000 units versus like 10. Whoever, like 10 units here. Let's just see how it is. Yeah. 400 units versus like 20. Let's see the battle just for fun. Look at that. Wow. Big horde. This is the fun of playing Pop Kill Nations. The big hordes you can summon. You just forget the part where you have to micromanage all these stupid units. Okay, there they go. There's the swarm. What happened here? Oh, this battle didn't go well. Oh, they had elephants. That's no good. Jeez, elephants are a disaster to deal with. Well, looks like I got something. What is this? Some guys. Let's send them over here to do some research. Wow, look at this big horde. Let's send this in somewhere. This guy can do something. Let's send him back. I don't know who this guy is. He can go collect some more units. Let's attack a little bit of a bigger army so we get something more interesting to show. And what's going on here? I don't know what he's supposed to be doing. Let's get one of these guys to go around and start site searching a little bit. I can reanimate. Actually, I want to send one of these guys over here. What I should be doing is summoning more of these guys as much as I can afford. Now, I can get some of my dryads to summon these. These are really worth summoning. Even though they're just like a priest 1, they can all cast reanimate, which is great if you want to get as many free spawn of your units as possible. Just have a bunch of these guys reanimating everywhere, and that's really, really useful for you. Let's send this big horde in here. Look at the big arrow. Let's see how that battle went. Whoa, another big crushing victory against like 10, 20 units. Alright, here we go. There's the horde. Right. This is a little bit of a joke, to be honest. Looks like I got attacked here somewhere. He attacked me in behind, it looks like. Let's send this big force to attack this one. I had some guy back here somewhere. Where'd he go? Yeah, wow, look, I'm getting a lot of free spawn here. These free spawn elephants are pretty useful too. These are an option as well. You can just basically use them the same as normal elephants. I'm kind of not really paying attention at the moment. I'm just trying to throw this big ball of units at my enemy here, just for fun. But, oh, I was having this guy site search, right? I should be going around and picking up all these units. I have a lot of these free spawn commanders. What I should be doing with them is kind of sending them around to gather up units here. That's basically what you should be doing. Just kind of doing collection, playing collection duty. Looks like I had a temple pop up here, or a laboratory pop up there, which is nice. Let's see one more big battle here, just against another 20, 30 units. No, nothing there. Just Province Defense. Looks like he moved out of the way. And he lost against just some random units there. Okay. Let's just attack Ulm. This will be the last for this video. I'm not doing too much for this video. I just kind of want to play around. Let's send this big ball of free spawn at Ulm and just see how it copes with it. Defeated the attacking force at Ulm. Okay, let's see this battle. This is a little bit bigger battle at least. Oh, they attacked me here? So what happened to Ulm? I really love just watching the swarm engulf everything, to be honest. So what happened? Did I even attack Ulm, or did I not? I'm pretty sure I targeted it. I guess it canceled my attack. Let's have these guys gather some dudes up. This is the unspoken aspect of every pop kill nation, sending these little Jannies around to pick up all the dudes you have kind of spawning everywhere. Just clean up the mess. Okay, let's get this guy to do something. I don't know, he should be site searching. Okay, let's get these guys to go around. I should be trying to expand a little bit more. I should get these guys to do something. This guy should be reanimating. Actually, I should keep this guy here and reanimate. Okay, let's see this last battle. Hopefully, I'll finally be able to make it to Ulm. Okay, there's a battle in Ulm. Yeah, it went pretty well. Another not too big battle. Yeah, there they go. Now, I wonder if I'll be able to crack the fort pretty quickly. Maybe, maybe not. It might be a few turns. Usually, the undead don't break forts that easily because they're all mindless, so it takes some time. I'm being hit by some kind of force. I'm not sure what. Maybe someone has some kind of spell up. Now, there's no globals, so I don't know what's killing me exactly. Maybe someone else's Dominion is destroying my units. Either way, I don't think I'm going to pop Ulm. Like, I don't really want to do too much. Maybe I'll attack one more. Basically, the way this game goes is you want to... All I can say about Asphodel is you want to expand quickly. You need to defend yourself really strongly in the early game because you're going to definitely face some pressure from people who want to take you out immediately. And really try to conserve your free spawn. Don't think about your free spawn as something you can just throw away. You really want to be conserving it and not use it when you don't need to. Try to get it all in as big of a group as possible and try to get a lot of mage support to be able to buff them up. Like, this is against AI, so it doesn't matter too much, but what I should be doing in multiplayer game is getting a bunch of these commanders, the carrying commanders and apostate, and buffing up these swarms of mannequins as much as possible. That would make them really terrifying to deal with, and especially if you can mix in some of the sacred units. Especially once you get to the mid to late game, when people start getting Soul Slay, you really have to mix in these guys, the Sagittarian Carcass or the Minotaur Sacreds I mentioned before, because otherwise your commanders are just going to get Soul Slayed and you're going to lose them one by one, and your huge army is just going to evaporate. But yeah, that's the basics of this game. Just don't get killed in the early game. Think about what your priorities are. Is your priority going to be early game survival? Is it going to be some magic diversity with maybe some astral? Is it going to be really buffing your beefy Minotaur and Centaur Sacreds and Thugs? And also just managing your free spawn. You can see how much free spawn I'm getting. I'm getting a ton. That's because I'm basically growth 3, growth 4 everywhere here. You can see my growth is so high, I'm getting random forests popping up. If you saw a turn or two ago, this province was not a forest. So growth 4, high growth, will actually create new forests everywhere. So it's really good for you as Asphodel, since forests just give you better spawns. So if your Dominion is pretty high and you're preaching it as well, if I was preaching around different areas, I would start getting forests popping up in a lot of these areas here. Like maybe these plain areas will start turning into forests very soon. So that's pretty cool. That's a new feature for Dominion 6. So that's something to consider as well, and why you definitely want to go growth 4 if you can. Growth and magic are the main paths you want. Everything else is kind of like doesn't matter. I took luck because just a little bit extra luck is always nice for you, but again, it's not too big a deal. I'm pretty efficiently here, but I think I'm going to end the video here, and I'll see you guys again next time. By the way, if you enjoyed these videos, please feel free to recommend anything else you'd like to see in the future. I'm always happy to cover whatever kind of game or whatever kind of nation and dominions, whatever you're interested in. But either way, I'll see you guys again next time. Goodbye, guys.